Hello, Dav.
Well, hello, Michael. Are you well?
I am very well, sir. How are you?
I'm alive, holding it down and staying brown.
It's always good, man. It's always good. I like as well because we did yesterday. I was on Dav's show, and today I'm returning the favour. So it's been lovely to talk to you 2 days in a row, mate. I think it's we touched on some things yesterday, and the thing I kind of want to bring forward in this once we get into it is I would hope that this conversation links back to your show, where they'll hear parts in that show and then they'll hear parts here. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like this is maybe obviously more about the lovely Davinder Singh. Davinder, see, I get confused, right? Because when Steve Hope-Wynne, who first told me about you, he introduced you as Dav Singh.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I look and it's like it's Dav Bedi. And I'm like, hang on, how do I'm calling you Dav, I'm calling you Davinder, I'm calling you like Desired Effect, I'm calling you like Dav Singh, I'm calling you Dav Bedi. So yeah, it's me getting confused. I gather it's your middle name, Singh.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Michael. It is the middle name. The Desired Effects. I was formerly known as the Retired Effects because I've been out of music for a while, but now I'm back into it. I'm the Desired Effect again. Dav Singh. It's my Facebook. Name, but it's Davinder Singh Bedi. That's my full name.
Got you. That I figured that was the case because I'm thinking I felt bad. Like I watched back to the interview with Steve, and I'm like, I just said Dav Singh, are people going to be able to find him? It's it's important, right? You got to get it there. But all right, we cleared that one up. That's cool. That's cool. So Dav, I mean, I suppose just starting. I mean, how on earth? Because I feel like I've known you forever somehow. I don't know, I don't know how that is. I think just we've had chats, because obviously Steve recommended I put you into the Aurora Clip Slack.
Yeah.
Obviously you've done some amazing work for Steve on this Sky on his 5-claw track for SkyQuaker. When do you think you first kind of when did we become aware of each other? I suppose.
I think it was it was Steve who mentioned you, and as soon as he mentioned the word record label, I was like. I just got scared. I was like, no, pressure, constant pressure. And I thought, no. He goes, he's a really, really nice guy, Dav. And I thought, well, and he wasn't lying. You're such a lovely soul. It's just you're proper into your music. And he goes, you'll get on really, really, really well. And he goes, he'll like your sound, sort of thing. And I thought, well, I wasn't doing music at the time. And I think I'd just come out of, I just finished, the exam for the Chartered Financial Analyst paper, and I walked out of the exam hall, and Steve happened to phone me, and I was proper. I had a great big beard, and I looked really scruffy because I have this little weird thing that I do where if I've got a mission to complete, whether it's a project or an assignment or an examination, I will not have a shave until it's done.
Love
or
it.
I always have a shower every day, of course, but but the shave. So every time I look in the mirror, it reminds me. But then after a while, I started realizing I love the beard. You know what I mean? I love it. So he told me about you, and I was literally on the way home, and I was so burnt out from studying 12 to 14 hours a day, every day, finance and running this thing. Anyone who knows the financial analyst.
Oh wow! Look at that! I haven't seen one of them for some time, mate.
Financial calculator.
Love it.
It's mad. But I thought at the end of the day, it's just an honor. And I'm glad that he made the connection, and he asked me to be part of the project because we were men at work together for a while. But he's always been busy with the film work. I've always been busy being pulled down, in terms of mental energy with academic, pursuits such as the law degree, then gone to the University of Law to do the solicitors finals and the master's work and then the finance work. And it's all, I can't get it mixed up. Is it left brain or right brain or whatever? But what it is, you need a balance in life, see. So, I hope I've sort of answered that.
No, I think it touches on what we spoke about yesterday as well on your show, where they're definitely the left brain and the right brain, and I'm like you, I float between those two as well, because obviously being a composer, that's very creative and kind of like, let's throw the rule book out the window, and then kind of trying to run a label and trying to kind of keep all the guys together, kind of, you need a little bit of almost like, yes, that's a great idea, Steve, but we need to actually get it released like this year and not in 10 years, you know what I mean? So it's like kind of having that, it's like an internal, like, I call it cognitive dissonance.
Oh wow!
You know, I know exactly what you mean. You kind of sit, and I suppose when you were kind of undertaking a big degree like that with lots of maths and lots of kind of I guess legislation and real kind of heavy stuff, it kind of is almost against that creative way of thinking, isn't it?
It's bad. Like it kills off your. It got to the point where I literally had to switch off. When I was coming to the sequencer, I was sitting down in front of the sequencer, and I was sitting there blank. And I thought what was hurting my heart the most was coming back and seeing dust on my keyboard.
Yeah,
you know, and using my keyboard as a prop for a law book. I thought there's plenty of lawyers out there which will be way better than me, and plenty of bankers out there which will be way more better than me. But I know that I've got an ability within, you know, my little niche of music, and I thought I'd rather be recognized as a somebody, you know, rather than just not saying rank and file sort of thing. But I just figured that in life you can. Was it one of the Will Smith quotes in the interview or something? I'm sorry about that. That's the drug dealing ice cream van. I mentioned him on the radio show.
The drug dealing ice cream van. That's your thing.
I'm not kidding, because he's always out there, you know, regardless of the weather. Or I just think he just doesn't like his missus or something. But he's always doing his run like when he doesn't need to as well. But sorry about that. the thing is, what was this? Well, using the keyboard as a you don't want to be killed off. And it was the Will Smith saying, basically, you can fail. I'm not sure if was it Will Smith. He said it in an interview. You can fail at something you hate, so you may as well try and succeed at something you love, sort of thing. And that really resonated with me.
Will Smith's a cool guy for that. He said a lot of cool stuff, and you can find him just everywhere saying that sort of thing. And I think there is some truth to that. And I mean, we touched on this on a radio show yesterday about kind of getting burnout and you know, that kind of like, should I just give this up? And I think I have a very sort of similar way of thinking to you there, Dav, in terms of like, you know, I'm just going to keep doing this basically until I either physically can't anymore, mentally can't anymore, you know, or you know, whatever. I'm just going to keep going, mate. That's a decision I made probably about 3-4 years ago. Was just we're just going to keep doing this, because, like you say, it's, you know, I could go into many fields and probably be relatively successful, but I don't think I'd go to bed at night and think, you know what, my day was exactly how Mike Bell's day was supposed to look. And I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yes, my brother. Well, we could even take it further. Like I was talking, I'm sure saying it to somebody recently. Let's say your shell could be animated to do a job. This is just a theory. If you don't do that particular job or that work, how much cocaine is he going to deliver today?
Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Love it. Love it.
But it will it could manifest as all some sort of a tension. It could be a sickness in your body. But when you work in harmony with the spirit world, or your spirit, I guess things sort of like fall into place, and the right phone calls happen to be coming towards you, and the right opportunities. It seems very, 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 very weird the way things work. Very, very weird.
It is a bit weird, and I think kind of touching on some cultural backgrounds here, man, just with what you're saying. This is weird. This interview's taking almost like what I had planned for the end is coming into the front, but that's fine. I don't care. That's fine.
Sorry.
You know, we touched yesterday on some philosophy, but I kind of shut it down because I thought me and Dad were going to be talking about this on the show like all day. You know what I mean? I've recently read Carl Jung's basically, I suppose you could see it as Carl Jung's biography. Really, is almost like I think it's Dreams, Reflections, and something else. And he was talking about that because you touched on it there, and that's why I want to talk about it. He was talking about that kind of that East-West divide in terms of ways of thinking.
Yes,
and
yes.
I think he was saying he spent some time in the East, and it was almost like, we don't understand the Western man. Like, you're always looking for something, you're always searching, you're always looking, you're never kind of like I suppose living in the moment, or kind of there's no like peace internally. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, man. Like, I found that in myself. It's like, sure, it's not to say that no one looks for success or looks for like the next thing, but it's like, I think there's this pressure in the West to just constantly be moving, and constantly you've got to do this and you've got to do that and you've got to do that. Whereas actually, that is not always the way forward. You have to take a step back and kind of sit and actually consider be grateful for what you do have, be grateful for what you have done, and actually spend a little bit of time to kind of congratulate your people, your family, or, be grateful for your past, and stop constantly pushing forward. Do you think there's any kind of, if I touched slightly on what you meant there?
Well, you've had a nerve, because when it is like my better half, Claire, she always says I'm always let's say on a very basic level. Let's answer it, then we'll delve deeper. She always says, Dav, you keep pushing. You keep pushing. You're going to die before your time. You keep pushing. I go, but I have to push. I go, because I've got purpose, and every day I'm driven. And being driven, I mean, I think as a younger man, I did this experiment in self-hypnosis, using a crystal, and and he was swinging it in front of ourselves, and I hypnotized myself, yeah, and
Okay.
it actually worked to actually. I used to sit up like a vampire at like six in the morning and start doing push-ups and sit-ups and
Love it.
training and stuff. But I kept on doing it for years.
Okay.
And I achieved so much over the years. I think the only thing that snapped me out of that was encountering some massive hurdles in life and being pulled down. But I realized that the power behind it. So regarding jumping back to the archetypes of Jung, very, very interesting stuff. I'm not so much of a wizard on Jung. I'm still delving. I study more of the dream analysis work of Herbert Silberer. He actually hung himself because Freud wouldn't accept his theories.
Oh,
So
wow.
that seems quite very, very, very interesting. The whole dream, the whole dream side of things, but being driven by the Western desire to succeed in the material world, that it can kill a person off. It really can. But I have been blessed over the last few years. I work for some extremely financially wealthy people, such as there's a major private equity player, a couple of hedge fund people, a president of a very oil and gas rich country. I'd look after their mansions, and I learned a lot working there on my own. And I learned that it's not just about chasing money. I've wasted too many years of my life chasing cash. It's about doing something where following your purpose, using your skills. So even a rich guy, I think, at the time where I was working, I think it was, I shouldn't say the name, probably end up getting killed, but I get bumped off.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah.
I realised that I'm smiling more than an immigration interview.
Love it. Brilliant.
Let me in. All right, sorry. All right, sorry. Yeah. I hope I've answered that question sort of like decently.
No, I think you have. I mean, the thing is, the problem with that question is there's no conclusion to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's when you get into philosophy or psychology, it's that you kind of, that's it. You're going to be talking about that, and I suppose that does. I mean, because I remember you did a video for SkyQuaker, and you mentioned kind of your books in the background and that sort of thing, and I can see you got books in your background now, and I know you're a very intelligent guy, a very well read guy. I know, I can just tell. So I know this question might have caused you some problems, which is why I kind of gave you a little bit of time to kind of have a think of it. But can you add any books from? It doesn't have to be music. It doesn't have to be tied to necessarily anything. Just can you add some books to our reading list? Let's say.
Oh, so okay. So you did say it didn't have to be music. I think one of the key things I must say is number one. I must recommend this one over here. Can we see that? It's
The Speed reading book.
Yes, by Tony Buzan. That's a very old book. So I thought before reading, embarking on the whole journey of reading, I thought let's learn how to save time in doing this reading whilst retaining the most information that we can. I thought that's paramount. What else I found interesting was at the moment I'm currently reading through and studying this book here by A.M. Ruppel. I'm sure I'm not doing it justice by holding it.
There we go.
Yes, Sanskrit. So I'm learning Sanskrit, which would have been the language of the Atlanteans, if I'm correct as well. That's very, very interesting. My mom's very fluent in that.
Okay.
This is, well, I'll come back to this one in a second. Strategy, this book over here, when I was doing my master's work, for the solicitors and all the rest of that, University of Law. I bought this book. I thought, I can't be dealing with going to the library. I'll just buy the bloody thing. I'm always on duty anyway working. So this has so many amazing case studies, such as Airbnb. There's loads of them. And every major company will have like a strategist.
Sure.
And, to actually look at where they want to go, the whole mergers and acquisitions thing, that's later on down the line. But I thought that's vital to me. This book here, the Book of the Ten Masters, which is an old book, and I happened to find this when I was out with Claire at a pub.
Okay.
At the Wetherspoons called the Eva Hart, and I thought, what's that doing in the shelf? I thought, right, we're going to take this book and give him some money for this book. But this shouldn't be sitting here in a pub. For God's sake, that's mad. So honestly, so that's very, very interesting. So Guru Nanak Ji talks about Nanak Ji's journey and his encounters, regarding fighting not just evil, but it's brilliant. I picked up this as well. I'm currently working through this one. It's from 1970. My gosh. Here we are, 1977. This one is
Star Wars here.
Yeah, this is the psychic power of pyramids.
Okay.
Yes, it's very, very interesting. As you can see, there are a couple of pyramids behind me. That one we've picked up this one for the studio work. It's an old book. I picked it up for 20 pence actually in the library. Thought, right, I'm having that. It's called. Let's have a look. It's called Course in Modular Electronics. Yeah,
which amazing. That's going to lead me into another question I got for you later. I love it.
Super. And now this was one of the books where it sort of started, and this one goes back to oh my God, 2002. This is Paul White's recording and production techniques. Yeah,
I have it.
It's superb.
I have it. It's a really good read, man. There's a lot of stuff in that book that's like paramount.
This is the Core Game 3 user guide.
Which is a book. I love that you pulled that out, man. I love it. Okay.
I've got that. And I'm sure I mentioned on the radio show yesterday, I mentioned there are various books that I'm reading through, such as Mike Senior's Mixing Secrets for the Small Studio second edition. I bought that as soon as it landed. I got the Kindle version of that. Got Mixing and Mastering Audio by Bob Katz, and there's a
Bob Katz, yeah, that's a good book as well.
Oh, very, very, and there's also the Bobby Oswinski, the recording and studio techniques. I've got that on the Kindle as well. But it's just I love the Kindle because at night time I can do the majority of the reading, which is good. I have a massive all those collections you see over the collection of books, the whole top line, that's the entire collection of Dennis Wheatley's books.
Okay.
So I happen to love a lot of his the film adaptations. So I like the books, and it's an interesting story for when I actually bought those books, because I finished work in Hemel Hempstead the one day, And I saw this advert on Gumtree. It says like the whole Dennis Wheatley collection. I thought, right, I'm having that. So by the time I booted down in the car, down to some part of Essex, was it Billericay or somewhere, and the guy goes, "Come to the back of the house," sort of thing. And I go, "What?" I go, "How come the books are in the books are in the garden on a pub bench?" And I go, "Well, what are the books doing on the pub bench?" And he goes, "Mate, you ain't gonna believe this, mate." And I was like, "Oh no!" And he goes, "I brought these books into the house, and within 2 nights, my father-in-law's dead." And I thought, "What?" I thought straight away. I was like, I don't want to buy these books, man. He goes, "What do you do for a living?" He goes, "When people die, I go take the stuff out of the house and all the rest of the stuff." And I thought, "What?" And so you're trying to give me these books, knowing that. And I go, "Well, who had the books?" He goes, the guy who owned the books was a teacher, and he said that he died with so many bottles of these really expensive wines around him. And so I thought, okay, so 2 people are dead, and the books are linked to it. So then I put all the books in a plastic box, and I wouldn't even take them into the house until I did all these. I went through the Bible, the King James version, did all these psalms and prayers.
Brilliant.
Then I brought them in like 2 or 4 at a time over a period of a few weeks, and then I thought we'll give them a place of honor, which is the top of the bookshelf. But then right at the top above them, you have the Sikh scriptures, which is orange over there.
So I love it that you used the proper version of the Bible, the King James. We didn't do any kind of like, we went back to like that's the true version of the Bible, and then we got it's protected that area, mate. You did your due diligence. You didn't use some sort of modern text. We go, that is it. And you're alive and well, Dav. So you broke whatever evil was attached to that education right there. You broke the spell.
Oh, certainly, because what Dennis Wheatley does talk about in many of his books is actually fighting evil. They're actually manuals on fighting spiritual evil. That's why they're so amazing. And I'm blessed to have this collection. I think they're from 1972, so they're fairly old. It's just lovely to have them. Books wise, of course, how could I not mention Jill Matson's The Lost Waves of Time? That's a superb book which I've read through. So many great things to learn about the use of sound there. Also, John Keel, he wrote the Mothman Prophecies. He's got a book called The Eighth Tower. Now, you'll learn a lot there about very low frequencies and very high frequencies. And so I do study a lot regarding sonics, the use of sound. I mean, there's the experiment which has to be done, which is an excellent experiment. Get a 24, see behind me, you'll see somewhere on the bookshelf there.
Yep.
That's a very, very old, from the 1970s. It's a sine wave generator.
Amazing.
Beautiful old device. I picked that up from Islington Music Workshop where I studied last year. Now, they said if you get a 24 hertz signal, which is like a very low sort of bass frequency, and you run a hose pipe with water in front of a speaker putting out 24 hertz, and you then film that at 24 frames per second, the water doesn't flow normally. It'll flow as steps, or it'll spiral.
No way.
Yes way. And I thought that is absolutely
amazing.
That
is incredible.
Trust me. Trust me. So I do spend a lot of time, sonically. I look at frequencies to heal. I understand and recognize frequencies which harm as well, and I'll try and avoid those ones, sort of thing. There's the old Devil's Triton, which is I think mentioned in is it in Jill Matson's book at the start? I'm not sure.
I have heard of this, and actually, because I want to touch as well on something that you put out on your Mixcloud yesterday after the interview with myself, because I listened to it. And because we'll come on to it, but I read that apparently almost over time, the sort of tonal pitch in Western music, the kind of the 440 or the middle A, I believe it's 440. It should be the middle A frequency has shifted.
That's right.
Into a frequency that actually stresses us out. Sort of moving on to in terms of basically what Dav did was he put out an interview with an ex-Vodafone, I believe he was quite a high up guy, where he was talking about 5G. And me myself, I'm very, very skeptical of 5G. I don't think it's a good thing in the slightest. And there's lots and lots of videos, guys, you can watch with regards to the dangers of 5G. not only am I skeptical because I don't want Huawei putting the infrastructure into the UK, which is a slightly different subject, but I'm
Yes.
skeptical in terms of those frequencies operate at such a high frequency level that we've never had. Well, the thing is, it won't really. I think it because from the tests I've seen with 5G, if anything's in the way of the frequency, even a tree or something, the speed rapidly decreases. So they're going to try and push that as much as possible to get it into your house.
Oh my
And
God.
given what Dav's just said, where water will actually step differently at particular frequencies, what's actually happening to the chemicals and the water in your body?
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think that talk that I listened to, burning the midnight oil again, man. I was up till about 4 a.m. and I think about because I put a couple of blogs up on the AEP website that I'd spoken to Dav and tried to introduce Dav, and then I kind of went on Mixcloud, set up Mixcloud because I wanted to subscribe and support Dav's show, and then I thought, hang about, what is this? And I listened to the whole thing, and I thought, this is mad because this is something I really have been looking in, kind of like, I wouldn't say like actively looking into, but I'm trying to do things now like not keep my phones near my bed. Trying to keep
Yes.
electronic stuff away from that. I mean, some people even turn their router off, don't they, in their house, their internet router.
Bro, I am the worst person for all this. Like, this has been going on now in my life for 20 years, right? It's been 20 years, yeah, where I've been saying this. But now, as of late, the difference between me and many other people now is to actually stump the money up. So I picked up these from EM Fields to actually prove, even to my other half who thought I was actually nuts, that we can measure magnetic and electric. And I think anyone who runs a recording studio, I think having one of these meters, because you're subjected to more, maybe magnetic waves or electric whatever waves than any other person. Most people would be bringing around so much studio gear and equipment. But there are people obviously which are subjected to more people at work. Electricians, but this as well I picked up was the Acousticon 2, which is superb. Now you can't argue against a meter. You can't do it because it's like arguing with somebody, arguing with the MRT guy when your car's just failed on emissions. You try to argue against a meter.
It's fact. It's scientific fact, isn't it?
Exactly, and this makes the world of difference. Just to basically. What do that? What? So, yes. Regarding my music for the last decade has been in 432, and as of late I shifted to 444 because the harmonium, which you'll see over there, which we're doing singing practice on, that is actually at 444.
Okay.
Now. I've realised I'm trying to find a quick. There's a diagram I had. I will find it. But basically, people used to go to church for healing, and it was sonic healing. Yeah, and it's the sonics of the chanting, Gregorian chants, and all these things. And I thought, well, there's a lot of power in sound. There's so much power in sound. I mean, let's look at. For example, they used John Keel picked up on the Ark of the Covenant,
sure,
as a device to bring down the walls, and he basically said it was an amplifier of sound. It was an amplifier of sound, and there's many things where I think sound is very very interesting. Cymatics. I love that. The old, if you study even Enochian, the Enochian language.
Enochian, wow, we're getting into all the the Enochian scares me because I know there's been some quite horrific texts that have been written in that language. That can be slightly, I suppose, coming back to your books. Man, this is when I'm loving this chat, by the way, man. This is just great, but when I was young, I watched a film called Evil Dead.
Oh boy! Yeah.
And they were talking about Necronomicon, and they were talking about like Enochian, and like, oh my god, what is this? But it fascinated me, probably for like the wrong. It just I thought, what do you mean? And like, and obviously this is a film, but it led me to start looking into these things, and I kind of like I was getting quite into that kind of stuff, to be honest, for like probably about a year. And then I thought, nah, this is not like studying it religiously, but I was reading texts that were perhaps a little on the dodge side, and I thought, nah, I'm getting away from this, mate. And I haven't really gone back since. But old languages, it's like they're almost kind of forgotten, and there's in some ways, like I think there's echoes of them, and we'll
Yes.
touch on that. We'll touch on that later. There's echoes of them still about, but these ancient languages, it's like what was lost back then. I mean, we've been talking a lot about frequencies, and what obviously, when you played some of my tracks on the show yesterday.
Yes.
And I remember it made me laugh because there's one there's one kind of like soundscape that I did, which is basically harrowing. It's 10 odd minutes long, and you actually stopped it and you said, this is making me feel uncomfortable. Mike's obviously doing a great job with this. And I think that probably, I don't think I did it consciously, but it consciously was supposed to be kind of like, I don't really like this, what this is kind of thing. And maybe when we're talking about frequencies, maybe that drone at that particular point was hitting that frequency level, which was basically triggering you.
Oh, definitely. I felt fear. I'll be honest. I felt it in my heart. I thought, my God, I thought this is one of the moments where I don't like being a radio presenter. And I thought it's scaring me. I thought he succeeded. He's brilliant at what he does. Because if I was in the cinema and I'm sitting down and I had to, you have succeeded, because you picked up on the point earlier regarding water, and our bodies, the majority of it's comprised of water.
Yep.
And the sound, which obviously has a massive impact on water. Then you have to work over Emoto. I did find that diagram. I'm not sure whether this is of any. Well, it's not going to work.
Can we see it? Oh, there we go. Yep, I can see it.
You got it?
I can see it.
So you will see 741 and all 417 and what's the other one over there? 147. So
528 639. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So I figured a lot of the music which I'm doing. To get to 528, my A is 444. Yeah, so as of late, I even had an issue with Vetralog in Steinberg, just thinking I couldn't get it to stick at 444, because every time you move in the preset, it dropped down to 440 again. But I realised you can create a global tuning track and use like an automation thing which holds it at 444 or 432 or whatever tuning you want it to do. So I have a massive respect for anyone who attempts to do music in away from the standard 440. Just you got nothing to lose. I think you got everything to gain. At the end of the day, I feel it. I'll tell you that for free. I certainly feel a difference in my particular synth sounds, where I'm tuning them up or tuning them down, coming away from 440.
But I think it's catching on, because I think suddenly I saw like a lot of people in the kind of film music world who I kind of follow and jump in here, there, and there. They were kind of like detuning and uptuning their tracks, almost like in the mastering stage. They were kind of like they took the mix down and were applying these sort of tunings to that. Which I didn't. Obviously, what you've said, the way you've been actually doing it whilst composing, whilst actually writing, is going to be a better way of doing it, because you're going to get issues if you start trying to detune or uptune the whole damn track. I think anyway, you're going to lose some resolution in the master kind of stems, if you like. But it is catching on. I think people are starting to talk about these things. And like I say, the study I read, the music has shifted anyway to the 440. It wasn't always in that kind of that pitch that we were aiming for, wasn't there. And I think you are right, because if I'm feeling particularly like a little bit overwhelmed, say, because I think that's what it is really. I think the stress is from being overwhelmed. It's constantly looking at screens, whether it be a phone, an iPad, a monitor, constantly hearing just stuff and noises and bangs. And obviously we're so like living in the cities where we do, it's just loud, man, like you're hearing everything. So I think it just kind of bombards you, doesn't it? And it's like, I remember with the day job, they were doing some building work and they turned off all the air conditioning, and I was like, wow, how loud was that? That was a buzz that I heard constantly for years, Do you know what I mean? It's like it's like you kind of tune it out in your brain, but it's actually attacking you all day.
It is. I think John Keel picked up on the air conditioning unit things in his book. I'm sure he did. Where they was it Matson, but they did definitely refer to that ambient sort of frequency in the background being detrimental to health and just general well-being of air conditioning, where it's amplified through cavities within the walls of buildings and the actual inner structure of the building. But let's. It's not just about frequencies as well. You can also experiments have been done time immemorial regarding tempo. See, now that's very interesting because I think, let's say that there's an African drumming where they have these drums which are so huge that the lower half of the drum is submerged in the ground.
Okay.
But they go. They pick up the BPM going all the way from, let's say, something like really slow, like 40, then they'd up it gradually and gradually and gradually, but they'd actually up it to around 280 BPM. Now,
Wow.
but that said, what was written in the book, I think it was Matson who picked up on it, was the person could enter another realm. With the actual beat, that's very, 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 very interesting. I thought that is whether it would have an effect on time, whether they'd enter another dimension. I thought that is very, very.
Well, I mean, to cut in you there, Dav, because I had an experience in my life when I was at uni, which I've never replicated ever again. And it was in my third year, and we went off to this kind of college, and there was a teacher there who was teaching Indonesian gamelan.
Wow.
Music, and there's about 10 of us in this room, and we all kind of had a different instrument that would play a slightly different polyrhythm.
Yes.
And I was quite stressed because at the time it was like, wow, what polyrhythms, I'm only just getting 4/4 here, like hang about, and so I kind of stayed on one instrument, which I think was called I believe it's the Sauron, but I swear that's something from Lord of the Rings, and I don't want to be disrespectful to that culture there. But I stayed on this one instrument, and everybody else was kind of moving around. And she was explaining that in Indonesia it's hot. We play slightly behind the beat. There's like an almost kind of like lazy feel to it, kind of thing.
Yes.
And I would say it was so we're playing this music and we're kind of just looping and repeating. And I would say that it didn't last long. I reckon it was about 20 seconds. But I kind of feel like I experienced what you're talking about. I kind of felt suddenly completely disconnected from the world, and like I was almost within this whatever this was. I was in it, and I've never ever in my life ever felt that, and I've never in my life ever felt that again. And that would have been a tempo rhythmic kind of thing that you've just been talking about that made me feel that, But it's been a point in my life that's just stuck there because I don't understand it.
I think it's amazing what the experience that you've had. To be honest, I think it's you're blessed to have that. So you felt firsthand. So here's me merely talking about theory regarding it, and then you've gone the whole step further, and to experience a shift, a change within yourself as a result of tempo. I think you're honoured, and I think Matson's book, The Lost Waves of Time, and I think there's another one. I'll pick it up today. I think it's prep. I'll get the name before I'll message you later on.
Okay,
I think
mate,
he talks about
okay.
the recording industry. I think it's Prescott, the guys, or Preston Nichols, or Prescott. I think he talks a lot about the recording industry and the frequencies. And I thought that's money well spent there, because money spent on education and good books, which are not part of your academic curriculum, that then sets you aside from the other so-called academics.
Well, I think I definitely have learned more. Uni was good for me as a person,
Yes.
in terms of it kept me focused and it kept me trying to achieve goals, if you like setting a goal and actually achieving it, and not just like not bothering and going to the pub. You know what I mean? That helped me at uni to kind of get that self-discipline. But I have definitely learned more outside of uni and progressed more as a person and understood music more post uni. I think if someone really has got that dedication to you know, that almost, I suppose, obsession with music, and they really want to hone their art, and they are willing to read, they're willing to kind of break down barriers in their own minds. You don't need uni, man.
You don't. You don't.
That's a
Hell
true
no.
belief I have.
But real talk, that is real talk. You don't need it. Like, I'll be honest, I hit BBC introducing. I'm self-taught in terms of production and everything. You know, BBC introduced. I hit BBC introducing, I think 2012 was at the end of 2011. Now all that work I did, I literally put the money down. I bought Cubase, and I it shipped with an old manual which come with it. And I worked through the manual, and I learned. And I taught things. You know, it helps. I mean, one thing I can say about the academic system is it will teach you certain you know, certain work practices or methods and all that, all the rest of that. But would that have got me to BBC introducing? No, it didn't. What got me was doing everything out of the box, and you know, I just smashed it at Islington Music Workshop. I think I'm the only person, I think, who. Well, I hope some others did actually walk out with a distinction. But to my knowledge, I'm the only one. Well, there could have been someone else who walked out with a distinction there. But it's just talking to the lecturers about the things. That's the other thing I've got to say about that is being around like-minded individuals. I think that's very, very important. I thought, regardless of the academic birds, that's okay, because as of late, I haven't been nowhere near as many birds in the trees over here. But
we've exchanged the drug dealing, you know, ice cream van for the birds, mate. You know, what two opposite ends of the spectrum right there.
Didn't even check this out. I think I had like 5 parakeets in the tree at the back. Yeah, they're gone. And like to look out the window, I see this great big green thing sitting in the tree with the branches going to bend. I thought, that's mad. I thought, what's going on? I thought my eyes were playing tricks, so I literally took a photograph. And
Love it.
It's nuts. It's nuts. But there's a heron as well that sits there as well.
Okay, you've got, mate. You're blessed, mate. You're getting all the birds are coming to your yard.
Thank you for that. Claire, all I've been like, all the birds are coming to the house.
Love it. So you're saying that so you basically, I mean, I suppose that is, we got into such a great kind of natural chat. I didn't want to interrupt it. But, you know, you're kind of, you're starting music. I mean, I suppose, can you run us through that kind of your how did you get going? Kind of, you know, how long have you been playing music? Do you play instruments? You sing? Do you know?
My mum's an excellent singer. She just sings at home. My dad was part of a band, I think, back in the day. Would it have been? We had an input in the band back in the day called, I think it was Red Rose. It's an old Punjabi Bhangra sort of band. And but the thing is, I think my real start would have been in my 20s, because I was hell bent on being a barrister as a young man, and I love crime, criminal law, and all the rest of that. And it was just hearing tracks on the radio, thinking, hold on a second, I thought, how have they processed the vocal? You know, how have they done these various things? And I thought to myself, that it's amazing. So I'd say where I started, it was by literally, right, this is how it was. I went to my friend's wedding, right? Punjabis drink a lot of alcohol at the weddings, right? They get totally sloshed. And he said to me, he goes, Dav, you love all this stuff. Now, what is it? And it was literally cracked copies of software.
Okay.
Not even like real talk. And the thing is, it was an old, early version of Cubase VST32.
Wow.
And after using that for a while, his name's Cash, so thank you, Cash. I then went and bought the original Cubase from Digital Village. It's 425 quid, I think I spent on that. You know, then I started, I got my first proper sound card back then. It was an old EMU APS sound card which operated at 20-bit and it was fixed at 48 kilohertz. And I set about recording and sampling, converting my parents' tape collection of the old Punjabi tunes to digital using these converters. then I met.
So almost kind of sampling, I suppose, in the sense you're doing.
Well, but converting and then also sampling work. I was using the EMU sampler thing as well. I teamed up with how it started with a good old friend of mine called Wahid Rahman, and we formed a group, like our own production duo. It was he was known as LP Listening Pleasure, and I was known as the Desired Effect. So he did the production per se, because he had a Roland D50, he had an XP80, with expansion boards and all the rest of that. I did all the effects, elements of it. So I then became known as the Desired Effect. I put my wages, because I think we was working security shifts between law studies and everything as a young man, to sample libraries, and there were the older Kai S1000, S3000 discs. So we have many of them still, and I think one of them was quite controversial, called Abracadabra, and I still have that. And what we used to do, either as 2 of us or 4 of us or 5 of us, these things would cost like £100 a go. We'd literally chip in and buy that disc and copy it amongst ourselves.
And distribute it, brilliant.
Yeah, because it's too expensive. So I just figured that's how we built up our library of samples to use, which we would have used in early versions of when eMagic used to have on PC Logic, hardware samplers, and a Kai, or was it the S1000 or S3000? I think I think he had one of those. Not entirely sure. Did I have the sampler? Where the hell is the sampler? Anyway, sorry.
It's hiding somewhere. See, I'm dragging you back down memory lane now. You see?
Yeah, but the thing is, I realised I worked with a lot of loops as well, and I won a couple of competitions. They put me for this competition on Beacon Radio for the best track or something, and I didn't even submit to it. I think the presenter then was called Davinder Palmer, and she must have heard the track, and she goes, I was in the top 3. And I didn't even know, so she phoned me up. And I go, well, how did you get the track? And she goes, well, I heard it over here, and this person spoke about it. They sent it me, and I loved the track. And the other guy won. She goes, to be honest, I think your one's better, because he had the support of his whole college and all the rest of that. So I thought, I knew I was onto something good. I upgraded the sound card then. EMU then bought out the 1820M. That was like £350. I went and picked that up, and I think on the same day I picked up these old Tanner Reveal Actives, which I have over there, sort of thing. But that sound card, no lie, to this day, right? If you want to talk about converters, they use the same converter chip as the Avid, the Pro Tools Avid IO, converters.
Oh, HD stuff. Yeah.
But only on the way in, though. Yeah. So the saturated Ds, the D2As are still brilliant. And even like yesterday, I was listening to music. I jumped from the RME Fireface 800, which I got over there, straight to the EMU, and you can hear the difference in the converters. But it's not just about the chip itself; it's about the the circuitry and all the rest of that around it, the analog front end or going out. So it's not just about the chip. So it's about if you look at I think it's Burl's B2 Bomber. Not just the chip. It's also about the
surrounding. I think it runs into that same thing. Like the whole we touched yesterday on the show about the whole RMS and the
That's
the kind
right.
of like the I know in some studios, and I'll even do it sometimes with digital model plugins where you don't actually do anything, you just have it running.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's almost like that you're just basically taking the sonic qualities of literally the electronics that are running through that particular bit of kit, the way it's been wired. I think that's kind of what you're touching on there.
Bang on the money, Mike. Top man. Thank you. You're right. That is what it is. It imparts its own sort of color or sound, or if you want clean, or But at the end of the day, I'm babbling on.
You are doing just fine, mate. I mean, it's difficult because I know that. Okay, there's one track I was listening to last night, and I'm if I pronounce this wrong, you're gonna have to slap me. It's Nash Ilya.
All my life.
I was listening to that last night, and that goes back to 2011, I believe.
Yeah, that's right, bro.
And I loved it, man. Like it had a really cool energy to it, a really cool vibe to it. And I wanted to ask you about that track because I suppose in my list here it was like, you know, how long have you playing? We went on to kind of like how long have you been playing music and what instruments do you play? I mean, are you singing on that track?
I'm such an idiot. You asked me that question. I didn't even answer it.
It was a big
That's a-
loaded. It was a big load. There was lots of things. Really, there was three questions in that one question, dude. It's fine.
All my life. I'm sorry. I'm so scatterbrained. It's
It's
really
fine.
bad. It's bad. Okay, so yeah, I learned to sing, bro. My mom helped me a lot. I had a Western singing teacher called John Taylor for opera. I think me and I think it was Nav Sahota both went to see John. Brilliant teacher. I had a Punjabi singing teacher, which my friend DJ Balikay introduced me to, called Ustad Nagi at Handsworth. We used to go to the fire station and learn singing there, the basic rag and basic rags. Then I had a teacher called Surinder Singh Sond, and when I come to London, I had actually she's just too next level opera singer, but I'm not going to mention it because I only had one class with her, so I don't want to say that I was one of her students. So I only had one class or two classes tops, but I thought it was just costing me an arm and a leg. But I just figured that and Ashilia, Balika introduced me to a songwriter called Bakshish Jelle Valasis. He goes, here, take all these tracks, right? Whichever ones you want, let me know. I like the way you produce, sort of thing. So then I thought, I want to do my take on this and do it justice for him, but I want to dav it. So I basically just do my own sort of style on it. And to actually make that track, I spent so much time within the. I was just getting acquainted, I think, with the Korg M3. Because
Okay.
as soon as I saw that in the magazine, in the Sound and Sound magazine, you know, I bought it, but I'd never got to spend time with it because I found it really intimidating, and I was really happy using my MIDI controller and just using Logic. You know, I was just really happy, and this thing, it just seemed intimidating, daunting, full of menu diving. It's in front of me right now, the Korg M3s, and I implemented a lot of the sounds from that because I think. My one had the Radius expansion board, and those sounds, you can hear the difference between a standard Korg M3 sounds and those Radius analog modeling sounds. And I thought, I've got to use these in the production of Nashilia. So I sang it and I performed it live and practiced, and we got the band together. But the difference with the band thing was, they couldn't match my sound in terms of the intricacies and the production and everything, but they had a very unique thing, very different thing. So you'd have like a band sound take of Nashilia or other songs, and you'd also have the my produced version, and the BBC Asian Network. You know, they supported a fair bit as well because you know, I don't blow my own trumpet. Forget all that. I think your work should speak for itself, you know.
I think it. No, I agree, mate. And I think because I remember because I just went on iTunes last night and just had a little scout around kind of thing, and I think on the single of that there is another version as well on the same. There should be. I believe there's two versions. I loved it, mate. I thought it was great, and you know, there's loads of stuff, and you're talking about the Korgs there. I can hear that as well. There was another track on there where you'd use that, and you're kind of stepping up the scale in a very kind of monophonic sound, very pure sound. You know, really clear sonics. So I think it's kind of, again, I think the philosophy there behind. I mean, we touched on Desired Effect, didn't we, yesterday?
Yes, that's.
You know, I love that name. I just think it's great. It's like, you know, where you're saying you're going to dav it. It's like, you know, right, I need this effect. You know, that's my desired effect. Where's Dav?
Oh man, you're right, Michael. Because you know, I've built a lot of tracks. Right, ignore Cubase, ignore Logic and Pro Tools. But I'm using the internal sequencer of the Korg.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like using that, right? Just it saves electricity. Number one, right? Just using the Korg itself. But it's just working within the internal sequencer, and it's clunky is the word. it's ugly is the word. It's difficult to edit in comparison to, you know, whatever you use. But you can still lay down tracks. You can still lay down, you know, 16 channels of MIDI. And that's the difference for me, having a dedicated workstation. Because a lot of people in the Punjabi industry at the time, they were using, and they still are using, Tritons.
Right, okay.
Now, but people still rave about the Triton now with the filter. That they rave about the aggressive filter of the Triton and how the M3's lost it. But it's brilliant in its own right for what it does. You know, I am digressing again.
It's all fine, mate. It's all fine, mate. By the way, just as like I suppose a little bit of a disclaimer, I'm all fine for the long format. You know, like
Cool.
I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan's podcast. You know, I watch a lot of long format podcasts and stuff, so it's all good, man. You know, I mean, I suppose touching on, I'm trying to just build Dav up and kind of take people on a journey of Dav. I mean, RadiAsian, you've spoken about radio, and you've spoken about maybe your you know, you first heard in your 20s, kind of how did they get that voice? How does that? And I suppose that's fascinated me as well. Is like, how do I gather they've got a compression rack? Well, you can probably tell me about it, but I gather there's a rack compressor which kind of tries to keep control of the dynamics through the show. That's how I'm gathering that it works. But how did that idea kind of come about? Was that around the same time as you were kind of producing as well?
Do you know something? This is quite unusual, right? As a younger man, I made a list of businesses that I wanted to launch and run. And RadiAsian, that name, it goes back to, I think, 2001. And it's funny because nowadays, being almost 40 this month, radiation itself is something that I can't stand, and after you get one of these meters to actually avoid it. But I thought, I never really wanted. I don't know, but I was so busy with the production. I thought my escapism, my world is the sequencer, and I'm sure it is for you because your work is phenomenal. Like I can't do, you know, what you do, and I'm not gonna. It's just a natural ability. Plus, you've honed it, and you're just brilliant at touching emotion.
Oh, thank you, man. But it goes back at you, mate. I couldn't do what you do, and I think that's why talking to people, networking with people, collaborating is so important.
You're a genius, because that's helped me answer the question, because that is one of the key reasons why I put together RadiAsian. What it was, I remember my journey coming up, and I remember, I think besides Davinder, Palmer, BBC, there was that was Beacon Radio, Wolverhampton. Then you have, I think Kerrang played one of my songs, I think.
Oh, really? Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, there's one of them first launched in Birmingham called The Whirlpool. I think what else? Who else played? BBC Radio, BBC Radio WM. Ben the Bee Turner, lovely guy. I think he's still active in radio at the moment. BBC Radio Derby through DJ Ballycay, which is Amber Radio, and I had a taste of radio. I thought it's brilliant. They get to listen to other people's music. They get to hear people's songs first.
Yeah.
They get to meet people. I thought that's really cool, because being in a studio on my own for years, building my own little studio, it's a very it's a lot of solitude for me. And I thought the radio was a great way to give a platform for other people. And I remember psychologically how it made me feel to actually hear my song on the radio. I remember one day my song was being played on the radio, and this guy almost run me over in the car. Like, he deliberately, he had his girlfriend in the car, and he tried to hit me with the car. And I remember, like, my song was playing at the same time in his car. And I was like, he didn't know it was me, and I was going to say, dude, that's my track, man. You're trying to
kill me, and you're listening to my track. How dare you?
I'm not even kidding. I thought that was mad. But RadiAsian, I used to work for. I made this song called Christmas. It was a Punjabi Christmas track, and I think I wrote it in like 2 days or something, and I tracked it in 2 or 3 days. But I'm fussy as well when it comes to the mix and that. And I wasn't that fussy then. I just wanted to get it out in time. My sister was quite shocked that I did it so quickly. She goes, Bob, I've got an idea, and I've got a Christmas track. Okay, I'm on the case. It's her idea originally, I think. Harvey, thank you, Harvey. So what happened then was Love Asia Radio, because Missy D had just broken away from one of the big monsters in Asian radio, which was Sunrise. I think she was a former presenter on Club Asia, I think, yeah. And like in London, she was, and I still think really is, if she's still presenting, like one of the best, if not the best, Asian female presenters. Like in her day, she was. People would just queued up this massive line just to even get an autograph and get a picture with her.
Am I right in thinking you presented on her show or with her on the show?
Oh, she offered me a position to work for Love Asia Radio back in 2013 or something, and she liked the fact that I'm very technical and I was very technically minded, but as a presenter I was absolutely rubbish at the start, because I think part of the pitch, part of the interview was you have to introduce the song. I think because of my pure dedication, I think she's given me a shot, and she's very, very fussy. The way she was, and that made me, and I owe her a lot. That made me the present. I'm not the most brilliant presenter, but I think I have my own very unique style, and it made me the way I am, and a lot of people like that.
I think you're doing a great job at presenting, mate. I think I think you really do. I think you're bringing in a lot of people, and you ask very good questions. I mean, you really kind of took me on a journey through myself yesterday. I felt quite kind of energized after we kind of came off of the station yesterday. So you're doing great, mate.
Thank you so much, Mike. Because so for radiation, basically I wanted to create. Remember, I touched that book earlier. I showed that book on strategy, that rather hefty book. I thought truth and independence are really, really important to me. To speak without agenda, to say something is something without trying to distort it, without money in the background. I mean, working in radio, I remember certain things such as money's been paid to so and so this track must be played, but I think the track's not so good. I don't want to play it. It kills my mood. And I didn't like these sort of things which were going on. And I think if a track is pants, no, don't play it on your show. And Missy D gave me a lot of free rein regarding that. And I saw a lot. I did see a lot in the world of radio, but it took me away from the production. And what pulled me down was the law degree, because I went back to complete my law degree with the Open University. And while I was doing the assignments, I was BBC introducing, doing tracks for the BBC Asian network, trying to do songs for them, because I said I'll try and do a song a month and all the rest of this. And I had an assignment to do with the University of Open Uni, and it's killing me often in your working shifts as well.
Yeah.
It just kills you. It kills your spirit. And I just figured that I just wanted to have my own show where I can give platform to people for new music, and to give them that little bit of motivation, just to give them that feeling of my track got played out. It's gone through the processing chain at a radio place. This is how it sounds, and that person may then just carry on, because what it is, I'm a small fry. Other big time people, big time presenters, they may, and I know they listen to my show. I actually know, right? They will listen in, and they may think, "Oh, I like the sound of this guy. Let's go do that." Now, I'm not like clingy and saying, "Actually, I'm the person who found this person busking on the street of London." I'm like, no. I'm like, boost them. Like, I'm providing a mini platform, and hopefully they get picked up by a bigger platform. But providing that person doesn't get too big-headed later on down the line. If you do want to interview them and go, well, who are you? Well, remember me? You know what I mean? But,
exactly. But the thing is, you touched on some really interesting things there, because I mean, I think the good thing I like, obviously, is the whole kind of mixed cloud thing, where we can go back and listen to shows, and that's probably how, because I'm not often available to listen when you're broadcasting live. Yeah. But to be able to jump back and play the shows is phenomenal. But I suppose that kind of manipulation, if you like, through paid, I mean, you get this in the cinema industry as well, where like an advertiser will pay more money to get the advert closer to the film, and I suppose that's what you're kind of saying and I think that comes into labels as well, where
Oh yeah.
I mean, most of the popular music we hear now, the real pop, is written by like 2, 3 guys, and I feel like we've been talking about frequency earlier on in this interview and kind of those kind of thing. I feel like the whole world's like addicted to this thing. And you're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing it in movies. You're seeing it in music, without question. I don't think you're quite seeing it in books, but I think they're moving towards the audio book realm. I mean, I listen to a lot of audiobooks just because it's a way of me still learning while I'm doing other things, so I don't feel like I'm wasting my time. But I think it's interesting you say that with your radio station, that the philosophy behind it is like, look, I'm on the search for great music. I have the ability to broadcast your music. I have the ability to archive your music, and it creates that kind of history and past. If in 5 years, when you're massive and like SkyQuaker's massive and Michael W. Bell's massive and Aurora's massive, like people will come back and watch this interview, man. Like do you know what I'm trying to say? I think is that kind of how you feel with your show?
Dude, you're a genius, man. What you've said is very, very true. Because I was thinking about it the other day. I was thinking, I'm small fry, right? I was thinking, all these interviews that I'm doing, right? As soon as like end of the artists they blow up big, right? People go back in the archive. I mean, and they'll go through even their early tracks, their early catalog of tracks as well. And so, where a person may lose faith in themselves and say, "Oh, no one's this like me in my day." When I hit BBC Introducing, Bobby Friction, an amazing soul. He said many great things, and but he's basically saying, I think to be ahead of my time, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because I wasn't interested in making money on the dance floor of Indian weddings and the Indian wedding scene. I was interested in pushing sonic boundaries.
Sure.
And for me, that's very, very important, because I'd rather be known as a pioneer rather than someone, or do you know so-and-so Juggy's made $4,000 this week? And I thought, no, I don't care if Juggy's made $4,000 this week. What his music's pants. It sounds like a man bashing a pot and screaming, no. But no. My philosophy is, if you've got a synthesizer, if you've got a computer, and thank you DJ Bally K for this, especially regarding the Mac Pro, run the machine till it's about to blow up. That's what you basically, because that's what it's made for. It's a tool. Run it. Yeah, try and kill your Mac. Try and kill the Korg. Try and kill everything by overloading it. Try and push things to their limits, and get the best out of every bit of equipment, rather than when I first had the Korg or when I first had the Mac, just coming in there, doing the incense around it and pray.
It's like I love this piece of they're polishing it every 2 minutes. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. But that's just being a geek, mate.
It is.
That's what that is.
Oh no.
But I think you're right. Push it, kill it. And I think as well, like money's a thing. Of course, we all need to kind of we need to pay our rent. We need to keep our machines running. But I think there does come a time where actually this is about art, and this is about like the human condition, and this is about an experience. And I think that you by having that manipulation, where perhaps I've heard stories of labels buying up something and then just never releasing it because they felt it threatened another one of their big acts. I mean, it's just terrible.
You're very real. I know that firsthand. I've heard stories where they'll sign you up and they'll keep you on the shelf and push their main acts. Yeah,
it's atrocious, mate.
It's disgusting, because you may have a sound which totally kicks the backside of their lead artist or whatever, right? That they're pushing, all the money's been pumped into, and it makes sense that they would marry their voice to your production, But I got some offers in my day from labels, and I didn't want to lose A, creative control, B, I release when I want to release, and I wanted control of any videos. So I just decided to stay independent. Now, whether that was the best thing to do at the time or not, but I knew at that time those particular labels who did contact me at that time, they had, I heard on the grapevine, they had a history of doing this to artists.
Yeah, no.
It's a way of sidetracking, keeping you on the shelf.
But it's just, but you just, I mean, back in the day, with labels and with radio. I mean, we can come on to talk about pirate radio. I'm sure you've got lots of opinions on that, on the whole kind of broadcast there as well. But if you look at kind of like, there used to be this real sort of way of thinking of like, let's throw some money at all these bands. If something sticks, great. If it doesn't, whatever. And that kind of was that's how you got the Beatles of the world. And talking about Breaking Gear, where it was like, right, we're going to put this really expensive microphone really close to a snare drum, which in the rule book is like, hell no, you're not doing that. And they're like, well, we're going to do it. And then you got that sound, you got that close mic sound. If someone didn't push that way of thinking, music wouldn't sound the way it does today. Just that one thing there. So it's like, if you're just going to kind of invest millions into say like one specific sound, one specific kind of like niche that you maybe push for 5-6 years, and you just sort of dump it and bring someone else in, which is essentially, in my opinion, I have quite a low opinion of the popular music world, man, and I'm not ashamed to say that. Really, I do think that's what it's about. But if you're not going to give people the opportunity, who knows that crazy synth sound, isn't the next new thing.
Very, 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 very true. Very well said as well. I think I'm not saying I had a lucky escape or anything, but at the time I was very lonely musically as well. And I do regret not signing to the label in a way as well, because I wanted to work with other people too. But I thought you don't have to necessarily sign to a label to work with other people, but that was those particular labels at the end of the day. Sure. I was hell bent. My thing was, I'm on a magic formula right now. I'm doing everything correct. I don't want anything to mess with it or anyone to mess with it. So I have a sad life. I will sleep on the floor next to the Korg. I will have a dream about music. I will fire up the Korg. I will later put down an internal sequencer, and then I'll boot the Mac, and I'll either replay it or export the MIDI across to there. I'll see what Logic can do at that end. I need to sort this mustache hair out, man. What's going on? It's wild.
I love it. So I know you kind of mentioned a couple of times, and through the chats we've had, that you kind of like you're looking to maybe go back down the production route. I know SkyQuaker brought you in with 5 Claw, kind of getting you maybe a little bit back, kind of bringing out some of your older sounds, and I could kind of hear that, and actually, yeah, that kind of that sounds almost like coming back, and I was like, wow, I love this, and it's like, I feel like with 5 Claw from SkyQuaker is going to be a great way to push those tracks, Dav. As well, because I feel like there's a link back to them, and hopefully it will push you forward, is my personal feeling. But that's not to say that the things you're doing with the station, I mean, I just think is great, and I think as well, it's, we touched on your show about structure and what keeps you going, and I think for you having that schedule and kind of like talking to people on the show and playing people's music, it just keeps you well entrenched in the game. And I think it's incredible, mate. I really do think everything you're doing is great.
Thank you, Mike. Do you know what it is? It's one thing I've got to say about the radio is the time commitment as well. It's heavy. Like even before this interview, what put me behind time, I got songs being sent. I got that much music being sent in by promoters and artists, and I stick to my word where I say I'll listen to every track. That's a big thing. I'll be honest, right? The whole 5 Claw project, right? It's deep for me because it saved my relationship with Claire. That is. I was so depressed and down after coming out of the CFA exam hall, and the way it come about. Claire saw a version of me that I think she saw the guy I first met a bit. She actually saw me in my element for a while, and that was priceless. To actually be a better partner, to be a happier person, to be a better dad, to be a better friend to my friends, to answer the phone when they call me, to be around for them. And that's what I owe you, Mike, Steve, everyone else involved in 5 Claw. It pulled me back to me being who I am, what I believe in. Now, to save someone's relationship, it's a big thing,
Well, man, I don't really know what to say. I mean, it's incredible, but I think it's kind of like, I think it ties into everything we've been saying both on this chat and the chat yesterday. Is that, you know, people in the studio, it gets lonely, and you're doing your show, it gets lonely. Then you're under pressure with other external things you have to do, and you kind of compound. And I feel like the more you reach out to people and the more you actually interview people and you talk to people, you actually realize that you're not alone in that kind of. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like you kind of sit and you think, well, I've been whinging on about I'm thinking about my life, but I just spoke to Steve or I just spoke to whoever, and actually they've been going through a different set of unique situations. And if we just picked up the phone, the world might have not seemed quite as dark, you know?
Trust me, you're very, very correct regarding that. The ability to not feel isolated. You know, I think, and working with you guys, it was pressure, because I'll tell you what made it worse for me was working 7 days a week as well on duty. You know, that made it hard, because I'd literally spend the morning working on the 5 Claw project, the production, then I'd go do a shift and then come back to the shift, and then you know, for about 11 at night, and then I'd work till about 1 in the morning. But I like the work ethic because I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing.
That's right.
I'm using my gear, you know
That's
what I mean?
right.
Like that for me, and even with the radio thing, I'm using the gear.
That's right.
And because anything could blow up at any time, anything could fizzle out. Let's run it while it works. You
run
know?
it and use it, and I think just, I mean, I'm seeing things as well. Like just do it. I mean, I'm loving doing, like, every day I've been talking to someone. We're on lockdown, man. We can't go nowhere. Every day. This morning before you, I spoke to Ben 30 Ford, a SkyQuaker guitarist. You know, now I'm speaking to you. Tomorrow I'm talking to my friend Les and my friend Joel. It's like every day I've been talking to people doing these interviews, and it just. I think if I think I would have got busy, and I have got a feature film I need to finish by Sunday, so I need to kind of get onto that at some point. Not a feature, sorry, a short film.
Dude, my eyebrows, man. Why didn't you tell me, man?
It's looking fine, mate. Looking fine, mate. It's the chisel of a man here.
The steps of a... It's like a wild old pervert.
It's all good, man. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good, man.
What's the word? A lecherous old man.
Looking fine, mate. Looking dapper Dav. Dapper Dav. That's what we're going to call you, mate.
No.
Dapper Dav, mate. You know.
Oh my life.
But no, I think it's look, man. It's everything there is that everything you just said there. Really, I think I've definitely been there. Like, you know, when you said to me yesterday, you know, have you ever hit any hurdles? I mean, my response was probably quite light. I've been downright absolutely depressed as hell, really not good place at all, many a times in my life. So it's kind of like, you know, I'm loving everything I'm doing here. Like, I'm really loving this kind of collective way of thinking and this kind of like trying to bring people together. You know, like I say, I mean, it's been lovely speaking to you 2 days in a row. I suppose I just want to ask you, like, kind of off the back of everything we just said there, you know, obviously we got quite personal, whatever else.
Yes.
What does this mean for this newfound Dav? Where are you going for? Where are you going from here, man? What are you thinking?
I think you've resurrected a musical monster, basically. And I'll be honest, because I think any work or any shifts that I pull is all going to go towards the most slutty audio gear that I can afford. Yeah, that's I'm very, very funny about signal chains, these sort of things. Everything will go back towards the studio, and for any projects I work with you on, I'll push, and because you know, to the limit to give a sound. I mean, what I found difficult on 5 Claw, because it was the first time I'd ever worked properly with a record label, right? And it was challenging, because I felt like you guys got like 4 or 5 guys occupying a frequency, you know, like a pie chart. But whereas I've been left with so many bars, and I've got to cover every frequency as a producer within so many bars, so I thought I've got to do that. So then you've got a bass guy playing the bass, someone on the percussion, on the drum, someone on guitar, someone on vocals, you know, backing vocals and all the rest of that. I thought I've got to do everything myself. But if you profess to be something, you got to flip and do it. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I thought it just felt amazing just to, you know, but after that project, I went and picked up this gorgeous thing, which is over there, the Prologue 16. And the problem is with the whole synthesizer thing as well, dude. Once you turn it on, you just kiss goodbye to your day, bro. Like
It's just, you're there twiddling knobs, mate. Literally, you're finished. You're finished.
professional
You're
knob
finished.
twiddler.
But I think, we touched loads on the synthesizers yesterday, you know, and I've made notes because as we know, if anyone, and I hope you will go and listen to the show from yesterday on Dav's site, but that's really where I want to go, is get away from the, you know, we touched earlier about being exposed to so many frequencies and just electrical energy in the studio, you know. Yeah. Right now I'm sitting in front. I got two 24-inch screens and a 32-inch screen in front of me, right in front of my face. It's like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, even that in itself is LOP. So I think having that hardware synth, yes, it's still electronics, but it takes you away from, you've already been there. You've already said it, that, you know, that you were kind of sequencing in Korg sequences in analog and bringing it in, which the other guys weren't doing. So you've already lived that world. You know, I kind of haven't, and I think I'm on that opposite side where I'm too stuck in the sequencer, and I need to get out of the sequencer.
I say, bro, whatever works for you, do it, because your pressures are different to my pressures. Like, you have like clients and you got to work for them, and like, so you got deadlines, you got recallability. Like, right next to me now, I've got a beautiful old Midas Venice 240 console.
Amazing.
Now it's so gorgeous, right? The sound of it. Even just summing through this thing. I think my next money, it could be going to get this Arturia 8 Pre thingy bob ADAT expander thing, but it's also a sound card in its own right, which then I can then patch into my RME, and I'll be able to use 18 channels at 96 kilohertz, 24-bit, just mixing analog on the board. But amazing. I won't have recallability, bro. I won't have that. Well, working in the box, you've got that. Like behind me there, you will see that as an old teak tape deck.
I see it,
bro. That thing there, right? You run that with metal tape, or you try it with chrome tape. I think metal tape, or I think the chrome tape is it more suited towards electronic based music. I'm even running stuff into that. I'm actually coming out the mic straight into that and recording in and just listening to what actual tape sounds like, and it's just experimenting with it. That over there, I think you'll see an old Behringer compressor.
We're talking just in the corner.
Yeah, the 1990s. I think when things were German built. You know, I think that certain things of an era are really, really good bits of gear. I am just trying to think. Have I missed everything? Have I answered everything?
I think so. Yeah. So I think from what I'm getting really is kind of, you know, like a little bit of you're coming back to music production. You're kind of getting excited about the prospects of recording again, mixing again.
Oh God, yeah, man.
And I think, but talking a little bit about what you touched on with Five Claw, I honestly didn't know what to expect. From the SkyQuaker camp, I kind of got, look, we're working on this quite cool concept with this amazing guy, Davinder Bedi. You know, you're going to love him. He's a lovely guy. And Steve was very excited about this concept. And I was on the way to the day job at 6 a.m, absolutely knackered kind of thing at the train station, listening to this bounce. And I thought, well, it doesn't sound any different to it sounds great, but it doesn't sound any different to the last one. And then it got to that section, and there was no mucking around with the guy. No one's heard this yet. So again, this is I don't want to give too much away, but the lead into that section, and followed by then the sonics of where that section took you.
Yeah.
I phoned Steve and said, this is incredible, because I don't know whether it was just literally that Hertz thing we were talking about and the certain frequencies you tapped into in my head, but the bass just led me into this completely different world. Then Steve brings you back in with a bit of his backing vocals, and I was just like, wow, this is just incredible. I was like, A, I've got to meet this Dav. I need to talk to him. You know, and B, it's just amazing, mate, to hear that. And I'm really pleased that it's almost like from my point of view, and I think from Steve's and everybody kind of in the group, you know, to hear you wanting to get back into producing and then listening to the stuff you were doing, you know, not so long ago. There's nothing wrong with coming in and out of this stuff. You 100% can get back into it and get going with it, man, and just pick up where you were.
Oh, Mike, thank you so much for the props, bro. Do you know something? I got a confession to make here. And I was thinking, all right, their track is probably Aegis 440, but I thought I had to do a cheeky one. I thought I worked in 444C for that bit. And I was thinking, does it sound right? But it sounds fine. But I thought everything's tuned at my end to this. And I thought,
Mate, this is like secret sauce. We should sell this video. This is, this is like, it really did, mate. It really made, and I'm going to add as well. I was listening to this on like Apple AirPods. You know, it wasn't even like I was listening to this on like, like decent speakers. And I know as well that Five Claw's still yet to really have someone properly look at it as a whole in terms of an actual mix. And it's sounding incredible already in terms of what's in there. So, mate, what you've done for SkyQuaker, I can't thank you enough.
No,
and B, just hearing that we've kind of like reinitiate, we've put some sort of, we've relit that fire for Dav, the music producer. Alongside the stuff you're doing with the radio, it's just incredible.
Thank you, Mike, and I can't thank you enough for you actually saved my relationship. I was actually miserable, depressed every day, and the old me died, but to actually be resurrected as the desired effects, back doing music, doing what I'm meant to be doing. It's just an honour, and Claire's got a way better partner. My sons have got a way better dad.
That's incredible.
Oh God, you can't even. You can't measure that. It's just beautiful. What Steve did, like, regarding that, because he referenced, he goes, I like what this other band Bloody Wood are doing, and I thought, yeah, I like it too. I go, but let them be them. I go, let me be me. So I think, yeah, but no, let them do what they've got to do. But I'm not doing what they've got to do. They are brilliant at what they do. You pick me because of what I do with my sound. Let me be me, bro. And then that's the first thing that hit me with working for the label was it's like you've been given a brief, you've been given so much creative scope, and I thought the lyrics as well. So from my side, I wrote the lyrics, and I went through this phase of thinking that Steve was a vampire, and that was interesting because because I phoned Claire. I go, this guy, he's one of them.
Is it? Because I remember seeing I was included in the email thread. I was included in kind of the some stuff going back and forth, and some of it is like 2 a.m. and you're like, okay, Steve, I'll do another bounce for you, man. I gotta go to bed now. And I'm like, fucking, it's 2 a.m. What are you doing to this guy? Killing him? He's
trying to kill me. That's what it was. I thought he's trying to kill me. He goes, I don't sleep, and that made me more. I go, Claire, the guy said he don't sleep. He's one of them. And it was like the Lost Boys, and I thought, no way, because I'm all about fighting evil and reading the Book of Psalms and Dennis Whitley's collection, then fighting evil and all the rest of that, and reading the old Hindu scriptures, Sikh scriptures, everything. And
then we're gonna have. I'll tell you what, man. As soon as we're out of this lockdown, me and you are gonna meet up. We're gonna have a really good chat, mate, because I'm fighting evil in many ways, myself personally as well. So it's amazing that look, it's amazing that we didn't just sit there and die. Let's say it like that. Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
We picked up and we went on. There is, I would say, so okay. So first off, when I post this up, I'm going to be posting all the links I can find for you, mate, on the video and everywhere we can. We'll push it as much as we can. There's one question in the list, that I really want to hear about, man, and because it blew me away yesterday when you were talking about it. Is the microphones, where you're saying you were customizing microphones. Man, that's I mean, it might be something that, my mate does a lot of kind of he'll buy an old broken Atari or an old broken bit of gaming kit, and he'll mod it, or he'll get old consoles to run at different frame rates and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I watch his YouTube videos, and I'm like, this guy's what is going on with this? It's I did a little bit of soldering. I did electronics at GCSE. I did all right. Yeah. I made a little, what's that machine that you use where if you got a little metal ring, and if you touch the other metal, it buzzes and you lose the game.
Bloody hell! Yeah,
I made one of them. The PCB and everything, the CAD and the whole lot. I did that. But what? With your microphones, at first, have I gone too mad on this? Is this something that you don't actively actually do, but you just have played with, or is it a thing?
I kind of I just dabbled in it, because what it is, I thought within my budget, right? I thought I wanted to improve certain gear, and then I managed to get hold of this old Mullard valve from the old Blackburn factory, the NOS, the new old stock, and I thought Rode at the time, the way they select their tubes for the microphones, I'm sure they would be very, very stringent regarding that, the testing of tubes and stuff. Plus, I've got the Art Pro MPA, valve based stuff. The Pro VLA2 over there, which is valve based as well. So I figured, let's just try this whole tube rolling thing. So I put it in initially. I didn't like it because all the pops and all these weird noises it was making, and it felt muddy. Then I left it out for a few years, and I think 2-3 weeks ago, I think before the whole 5-claw thing, no, not 2-3 weeks before 5-claw, I dropped it in. I dropped the old Mullard valve into the Rode K2 just to see, and I thought, wow, this is cream, because it's about finding your signal chain to track vocals, or you don't have to spend loads of money. It's about not being scared to open something up and change a valve around, or it may cost a bit of money, 50-60 quid for a valve. You may have to, like, I've got an old Golden Age Pre there, one of the early versions. I could easily change the transformer in that. I can just solder it in if I need to. But it's just I'm not a big modder, but to actually feel and hear the difference that the Mullard valve, I'll pick up some matched Telefunken pairs and try them out on the VLA, because it's all basically working within budget. I don't have that sort of DW Fern money anymore, sort of massive tube tech, like whatever it is, a huge.
Well, it's just hugely expensive. You're gonna, if you're gonna go and buy one of these Neumann mics or something, it's really expensive. But I think if you look back at kind of, I briefly mentioned, I believe, like Joe Meek yesterday on the show and things like that, those sort of guys, and they were pioneers in this sort of stuff. And I know that studios were kind of like modding their own consoles in the studio and to get more channels. And there's always been that element of like, I think really, a great sounding record comes out, everyone goes and looks at the studio it was made in, and all of a sudden they've got some modded desk that's like half fallen apart or whatever, with, you know what I mean, the 4 channels broken and whatever else, and then that suddenly becomes the next Neve.
Well, you're right, because if you go back in time, when you look at some of the older interviews with jazz engineer Rudy Van Gelder, whenever he had an interview, he'd throw a sheet over his studio gear, bro. He'd literally throw a sheet over it, and also he would actually contact the manufacturers and have custom stuff made in standard stock equipment, sort of rack boxes or whatever. So you couldn't even tell what was in there. And brilliant. So people are very, very funny regarding their. They don't want anyone to emulate them or to better them, or the trade secrets regarding that. So yeah, Rudy Van Gelder's a great example of that. What else was it? What else was I going to say? I was just about. I met Mick Hinton. He made the same preamps I'm running through. I'm not sure if the audio is good or if it's coming through the webcam or whether it's coming through the road. But Dav Electronics, and he used to go around and do the servicing of the consoles, and he made his own mastering EQs and preamplifiers and compressors and stuff. So it's nice to meet him, because he made a lot of stuff for David Gilmour's boat. He made a lot many studios. He's built a lot of stuff, and it's an honor to go and meet him.
Amazing.
Lovely humble chap. Lovely. And I met Hugh. What was it? It was Robin Bigwood of Sound and Sound. I bought my first DAV BG1s from him. And here's another one. Not only do I try and sing, I do try and play bass as well, but I'm not as good as I used to be. I need to get back into it. But my first lesson was with Pete Williams of Dexy's Midnight Runners. Come on, Eileen. So
amazing.
That was proper cool. So I think today I'll spend probably the rest of the day on the bass guitar and just getting myself back into it. And
it's just incredible. I mean, but it's me as well. I've picked up my guitar. This morning I've 34, like playing a load of licks to me on Skype, and I'm like, well, that's incredible for a start. But I've been trying to. I'm so stretched at the moment with time and stuff. But I'm trying to kind of like do at least half an hour minimum a day, just on the acoustic guitar. And the fact you're picking up the bass again and kind of getting into production, and it's like I feel like there's like the fire's lit. It's just about keeping it going now, man. And seeing where the hell we go.
Most definitely, bro. Most definitely.
Well, listen, Dav. I mean, I think, like I say, I'm going to link you down. Thank you so much for coming and talking to me today. Just keep doing everything that you're doing, mate. You've got access to the Slack, all that stuff. Just keep talking in there. That's one of our secret. That's an in-house AEP thing at the moment, guys. So unfortunately, that's locked down. But just keep being amazing, Dav. Just keep doing your things, man.
Mike, you keep being amazing. I'm going to download the desktop version of Slack so I can keep the mobile phone turned off because I don't like the thing being on around me.
As we discussed earlier, yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. And thank you so much. It's been an honour, and thank you for pulling me into this, the whole 5 claw thing as well. And I think I'm going to become a real life rock star because I'm rocking backwards and forwards because I need the loo.
Do you know what? I'm in exactly the same boat. I think that's a good place to end it right there, Dav.
Cool. Thank you so much.
You're a legend. Thank you, mate.
Thank you. God bless you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.